Call this meeting to order. The Town Mtg Board of Commissioners is 6:30, Monday, November the 13th, 2023. Roll call.
Walter Vincent. Here. Dan Taylor.
Here.
Neil Sowers.
Here.
Sonny Mason.
Here.
David Bragg.
Here.
Tim Quinn.
Here. All right, let's all stand for the pledge and invocation, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alice, please.
Heavenly Father, as we come to you tonight, we truly thank you for this day. We thank you for each and every one that is present. And we ask, Lord, to be with this meeting, lead, guide, and direct. Let us do those things which are pleasing to you and pleasing for this community. All this we ask in your precious and loving name.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Alice. Okay, everybody has the agenda in front of them. If there's no changes, do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda as written?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. I don't know, take a pick, Walter, David.
Just take it in.
All right, let's see, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, approval of the minutes of the October 2nd, 2023 meeting. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to read them. If there's no changes, do I hear a motion to?
Second.
I have a motion. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, first on the agenda, we have 4 public hearings. Each public hearing will be done separately, and the public will have their, an opportunity to speak at each one of them. The first one is a rezone of an 1.8 acres area at 1277 Highway 58 and 102 Pettiford's Road from R15M Single Family Resident District to B1 General Business District. Carlton, would you like to, should you say anything about this before we open it up to public hearing?
Yeah, I can quickly just go over do an overview of it. So the area is being considered for rezoning. It's currently zoned R15M, which is single family residential. It's inclusive of motor homes or mobile homes. The proposed zoning for this area is B1 General Business District. So it's two parcels under consideration for one rezoning petition, and they are both kind of at the intersection of Highway 58 and Pettiford Road, and close to where Pettiford Road loops back onto itself. So there was a mail notice for adjacent property owners and the property owners that are subject of the rezoning, proposed rezoning. There were signs posted on site, and there was also a notice, there was a published notice in the newspaper, and there was a mail notice to Cherry Point. They had any issues with the rezoning. So the public notice requirements have been met, and that's basically a high level overview of what's going on.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do I hear a motion to put this in public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we're in public hearing. Does anybody have anything to say about the matter? It's open to the public. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please stand and state your name, please.
Want me to come up here?
You can stand
Okay,
and do it
I'm
right.
Jim Bailey, and I represent the owners. I'm here with the owners of Bill and Priscilla Livingston, and we put in the request to rezone it, and I'm a realtor. I had it for sale as a residential lot for a while, and we really determined that that was not the best use for it, that people who have looked at it did not want to buy it for that purpose, and so we came and asked y'all to rezone it. We do not have a particular use for it. I mean, nobody's put a contract on it subject to getting it rezoned. So, it would be subject to whatever y'all's ordinances require in terms of plans and, details at such time as somebody wanted to build something on it. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. We certainly would hope that you look at this favorably.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, anybody else? Mr. Norris?
My name is Bill Norris. I live at 423 Norris Landing Road. My question to the board is, has an environmental impact study been done on this area about to how it's going to affect Pettiford's Creek by any chance, or any of the existing marsh areas, and where the stormwater is actually going to go and how it's going to be treated?
Well, the thing is, it's just a rezone. No buildings are going to be put there as of yet. They were rezoning it hopefully to be able to sell the property. So your question's good when, if someone buys it and wants to put a business there, then the planning board and all will need to address that.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Ron Morgan, I have a question. When you sell the property, are you gonna combine it all into one deed so that the buyer can utilize it as one piece of property? I mean, is that your goal?
I can't speak to that, but we have had people ask about buying one or the other. And I know the owner's indication now is they want to sell it together. Now, I don't know that they want to, it's not combined. So I think that'd be another question for planning and zoning, whether to combine them into one or not. Their intent is to sell them as a package.
Most likely, if someone buys them, they're going to want them both because they're going to need that much land to have a business. They got to have stormwater runoff.
Right.
They got a septic system and a parking area. They're going to need all the room that they could get. So
That's our feeling, but again, it would be for the next person to decide. But
Yes.
they do not want to divide it at this time.
okay. Anybody else? All right. Do I hear a motion to go out of public hearing?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, now, we're not gonna take action, right? We're gonna go right back into another public hearing. Okay. The second public hearing is the readoption of the town's zoning ordinance, including all previous amendments. All right, you wanna give them a brief on that?
Yeah, it's basically what I explained to the planning board. And I apologize for maybe a little confusion there. I had the planning board approved the or the readoption of the zoning ordinance, the text, and the zoning map together as one, because the map is part of the ordinance. They're split into two here, zoning ordinance text and a zoning map, because that's how the public notice went out. There's no issue with that, though. I mean, I thought we would just keep it separate for the sake of consistency. But again, this is simply readoption of what has already been approved, previously been approved. And there are no changes to the content. The only edit I made to this was taking out the 2104 premises commercial signs. That's currently appears as, it seems like it's a standalone ordinance on the town's website, but it's actually part of the zoning ordinance. So I thought it'd be appropriate to just kind of put them back together. Again, no changes to the content.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do I hear a motion to go into public hearing?
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're back in public hearing. This is, like Carlton was saying, we're just basically re-adopting our zoning ordinances. There was some things that just, like I say, he had to tweak a little bit, and we just felt with our attorney that it'd be best if we just re-adopted the whole book all over again. So does anybody have any questions? Most likely Carlton will have to answer them.
I just have one question. Will the new map be on your website where those of us from off, as we say, can look at it and figure out what the zoning is on a particular track?
Yes, we should.
This map's pretty old right here.
Just a little bit.
I just wondered if you were gonna do that. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Bill?
Hi, I'm Bill Horace. I live at 423 North Landing Road. With today's technology that we have, when we're rezoning and updating maps, with the GIS department that exists in Beaufort, when we talk about this, some of us are trying to visualize exactly where you're talking about. And the thing that's missing on a lot of these maps is we don't know where the drainage is, what creeks, rivers, or streams are going to be affected by this. And that way we can logically say that, yes, if this area is going to be affected by more impervious surfaces, how can we help deter some of the stormwater that's going into our creeks and rivers? Our creeks and bays and rivers right now have exceeded the pollution rates at such a rapid rate that it's just incredible. And I think if the town of Pelletier is able to show on the newer maps from the GIS department, whoever wants to do it, where exactly the drainage is going, is there some means to protect the creek and that's going to be affected, or the streams or the rivers? I highly suggest we could do that. We've done it before in the past, and there's no reason why we can't bring this technology more up to date here in our town, since we're being so heavily bombarded by all the construction and all the new people moving in. We need to really look at this and take it in consideration.
Thank you, Bill.
I thought we could address that in the next item 3, right?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Yep. Anybody else? All right, do I hear a motion to go out, public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're out of public hearing. All right, we got 2 more public hearings to go, so hang tight. All right, next is the readoption of our town zoning map, including all previous amendments. the map, I think you just kind of briefed on. So,
Yeah, the new map will, it looks a lot, I think it looks a lot better than the old map.
got to.
And it has all, it is current as of right now. It shows, I didn't change the color, or I didn't really change the color scheme that much. It doesn't really match that one exactly over there. But I do have street names. I would be interested in looking at adding drainage as a layer if possible. And I'd also be interested in talking to Carteret County about maybe if we could have a Pelletier zoning layer added to their county GIS, because I think that'd be really helpful.
Turn the map around.
Oh, sorry, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. Okay, thank you.
Yes, again, this only has everything that has been approved up until now, and no changes, no other changes. And as with, I don't know if that map shows it very well, I can't see it, but the map I use as a reference, this also shows the town limits and the ETJ areas. Yeah, if anybody wants to look at the map more closely, I didn't think of making more copies.
I
Yeah.
gave them all small copies.
Yeah, we got all
Okay,
set.
okay.
They all have.
Okay, but if anybody out there wants to look at it, please feel free.
All right.
How much time would it be to, Bill was talking about to incorporate that into a zoning map about where the stormwater, where the water's going, and that kind of stuff.
See, that would require a topo.
Yeah, where the water's going, that gets a little more complicated. I'm working on well, I'm not really working that much on it, but I'm in a technical advisory group right now on the state's working on what's called the North Carolina Flood Resiliency Blueprint. And it's gonna be a new tool that's similar to the Flood Risk Information System website, where you can see areas that are susceptible to flooding. That's still a work in progress, but that's one tool that I would highly recommend checking. That's more for flooding. That's not really for runoff and those kinds of issues. But yeah, really it would just depend on what kind of data is available at the county level.
Can you overlay,
Hey, Bill, let us go into public
Oh,
hearing
okay,
so you
sorry.
can talk. Okay? You good?
Yeah.
Okay, do I hear a motion to go into public hearing for the zoning map?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're in public hearing. Mr. Norris, please help yourself. Where you live at?
I know the county that I used to work with, when we had situations like that, we would overlay with aerial photography. You could do that now. And that's what you really need, because then you can actually see a lot. When you're dealing with a map like that, it's very limited to what you're looking at. So you can do the aerial photography, and then you could overlay it with the topo. And that way you could actually see, where the elevations are at, and then do that. But I think we really need to step into the 19th century and, start utilizing what Carteret County has available for us to use. And I think the aerial photographies will really show you a lot of what we're looking at as far as some of the environmental issues that we're seeing now in our community.
Yeah, I agree. It might be helpful to have an aerial on the zoning map, because it would be easier a lot easier to pick out landmarks and say, okay, this is, you know, this belongs to this district and that, or that district. We want to make sure though, with the zoning map though, that we don't have too much information on there, because it is primarily just for determining, you know, what's zoned what, and is it within, the town's planning jurisdiction. But I do think it's a great idea to have, think about more tools that we can have that can show public, you know, how drink, you know, deal with issues related to drinking.
And like he was saying, like you probably don't need to show a whole Pelletier with the aerial photo. It only need to be shown near the creeks, near the areas that are impacted, right? Areas that are a couple miles away from it, probably not a big deal, but close to the water and all that, where it goes.
Do the whole thing.
Right.
We're
B,
not
do you
talking-
need to know who that guy is?
I would appreciate it.
See it in the license.
I've only seen him once or twice.
Okay.
I have to see when it's available.
But it'd be something you could check into.
It's something that could definitely, yeah, I think it could be done. I mean, definitely can be done.
Should
I
already
just
be
need
there.
to see what it
Yeah,
is.
there were
That
guys.
information's already there,
Yeah.
when they made those flights. Routinely,
Yeah,
he's there.
okay. Anybody else? All right, phew. Do I hear a motion to go out public hearing?
Yes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're out of public hearing. Now, we got one more, which is the readoption of the town subdivision regulations, including all previous amendments. How come it was singled out, the subdivision?
Sir?
The subdivision regulations?
Yes. Yes, we. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Need more room.
Yeah, basically, the subdivision regulations, they also didn't have any changes. Brett also recommended that we have this readopted, since we're readopting everything else. It's not necessary to have a planning board comment for adopting subdivision regulations, so that's why it was not given to the planning board to review. And there's also, there's no additional statements required by the governing board on adopting this. So, yeah, basically, again, it's just the same, everything that's been previously approved. The document just looks a little better, it's been formatted, and it's been cleaned up a little bit. So no other changes, substantial changes. The changes can come from the ordinance.
Okay. Do we hear a motion to go to public hearing?
Motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing dealing with the subdivision regulations. Go ahead, Bill.
If there's not been any changes made, then what good are the ordinances? In this time of high development and high demand for land and the land use, if we don't look at the ordinances on our subdivisions, it's just like the subdivisions that are going in. No parks, no sidewalks, no playgrounds, no green areas. Everything gets cleared, period. And we're supposed to be going green here, supposedly. So if we're not changing anything in these ordinances, we're not changing anything in Pelletier. So we need to look at these ordinances step by step and say that, yes, we need to have these developments commit to putting in sidewalks and greenways and stuff for the families. I mean, it's really pathetic when people come home after work and they're walking down the middle of the street because they have no other place to walk, and they're walking their kids, and they have no place to go unless they go to Western Park. And not too many people, after they get off of work, after a hard day, want to jump in their car and take their kids somewhere to play and to do all that. So I think the ordinances need to be looked at individually on these subdivisions. Study and changes need to be made because you're in control of these subdivisions when they come in, instead of letting the developer tell you what he's gonna put in there, and we all agree. You know, it's just not right.
What happened to our ordinances? We had a couple companies come in, and by some of the wordings and some of the ways, way back when we had adopted the ordinance, some things were left out, and we were faced with lawsuits. One of them we had to settle with, which will be a billboard right at the end of Pelletier Loop Road and Highway 58. This is the reason we're going through this. You're right, the subdivisions, I would like to see sidewalks, I'd like to see street lights and all, and there was a few other things I'd like to see added to that. But right now, we're trying to make a quick fix before someone sues us again. And
This is a quick
that's
fix.
what we're doing.
There's no reason we can't.
We hear you, and we are going to do something about that.
Yeah.
But I would just try to clean it.
This is a.
We clean up this as quick fix, but there's no reason we can't go back and add these things.
Oh,
into
no,
the-
yeah.
And that's probably our next step that we need to do, is to have some public land or public use property in a subdivision.
Yeah, more work needs to be done to
Yes.
our subdivision ordinance.
Yes, I
And-
agree.
And I think Carlton and I spoke about that, and he talked about with that land use plan, we're gonna be having to address all of this, and that's something that we're gonna be working on.
Sure we are.
And he specifically addressed all of those, your concerns.
Thank you.
So, we agree, and thank you.
Yeah, and like I say, there's a lot of things going on that if you hadn't been here, you wouldn't know. But I'm glad you bring them up, Bill, so don't, you know.
Well, maybe a couple more things.
Well, this is
The
just
planning
paperwork
board, the
stuff.
planning
This is
board.
not real.
But it is, a lot of things are being addressed right now.
The
so.
planning board, as I have said before, is in the process of starting to work on a land use. I have asked a couple of the members to get copies of surrounding communities planning, so we can sit down and look at all three of them, what they're doing and what we can do, and have a workshop for us to put together what we would like to present as a planning board. And you're absolutely right, Bill. I believe very strongly in what I call public use land in a subdivision, for kids, nothing else.
On our neighborhood, they had a green trail going through the middle of the neighborhood that never materialized, and every time people would ask, the developer just said, yeah, that was not official, somebody thought about it, so everybody, was kind of expecting something, and then never happened, we didn't have the money against like D.R. Horton, a big developer,
So since it's public hearing, so we can hold the developers to this, right?
Yes.
Well, that's
what
that's
would be
why
part
we're
of it,
trying to
yeah.
make this
That's part
change.
of their, when they present those plans to us,
That's
they've got to
why we're
present,
doing
they have got to
it.
designate a certain area that will be used for this.
Yeah.
And have it ready
Yes,
Yeah.
for this.
well, it's part of the development.
Right.
Yeah, but the big flaw in all that is, after development goes in, nobody does
Anything.
as-bills.
Right.
Nobody goes back and makes sure that everything that was on that design is put in. And that's where, like you talked about, no, we don't have to do it, or no, we're not gonna do it. And who's gonna stop them?
That's it. I can tell you those days are over.
Yeah, we're gonna clean that up. That's
Good.
the one thing we're gonna clean up, and we got someone that can help us enforce it.
Holding up the door.
All right, anybody else have anything to say? All right, do I hear a motion to go out of public hearing?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, they're behind us. Now, everybody just hang tight for the results. But anyhow, we'll go to the department reports. Code Enforcement Officer, Lieutenant Chris Johnson.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you tonight? Start off with this October, the prior month, I got a call from a buddy of mine at the county, Gene Foxworth, and Mr. Foxworth went before the state legislature, and they gave him roughly $12 million to spend on the county on improvements and drainage issues and stuff like this. And it's a grant that he's working off of. And he read an article in the paper about our previous meeting, because we had touched on this with Bedford Road. And he said, hey Chris, what do you think about, doing something down there? So I called up Dale, or I called Mayor Showers, and I said, what do you think of this? And he was all for it. So he's like, yeah, show him around. And we took a tour of the town and looked at different spots. And Mr. Foxworth is definitely more attuned to this stuff than I. I'm a mirror cop. He does that stuff for a living. I do other things. And he picked out a few spots, but Bedford Road was the glaring eyesore as far as drainage issues go and things like this. Drainage on Bedford Road is pretty much non-existent. It gets stopped up in about 4 separate places that he could determine just off the top of his head. So his idea is this, to get a civil engineering firm who the county's been working with on other projects in the county to take a look at Bedford's drainage problems and draw up a new plan to enact and move forward on that. Now that's the exciting part of the news, that, all in one day, well, it's great news, but it's gonna move at the speed of government, unfortunately. Okay, and we all know what the speed of government is. But with that said, it is a step forward. It was a positive thing, and we're happy about that. So I just want to report that to you. That's something that transpired in the last month. Also, moving to the normal nitty-gritty, I received 3 email complaints this month about possible code violators in town. The first one was an accumulation on Mills Branch Court, and I put in here in fairness, I know the folks that have that issue going on right now. They've recently moved in there towards the top of the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, before this meeting, I had just come off and spoke with him about a plan of action for that, and he intends on getting this taken care of by our next meeting. And I know the guy, and if he says he's going to, he's going to. So that's a good thing there. Next complaint was in 5 Aprils, and it's the same properties that keep popping up. There's an older woman who has a problem keeping her yard in check. And then there's a person across from them that likes to play with broken down cars and keeps accumulating broken down cars onto the property. So these folks have been dealt with on a personal level up to this point. We'll see if I have to go further with them in the next couple of weeks. And then finally, the last complaint had to do with some items that were up for sale there to the corner of Bedford and Highway 58. If you're coming out of the subdivision on your right, if you live there, I'm sure you've seen the cars and a camper shell and a jet ski. These items, I ran all the necessary registrations on them, and they all came back to the same owner that owns that particular piece of property. And if you live in that neighborhood, you know who he is, so I don't have to mention his name. As far as code violations go, I think he could worm into one, but I'm gonna give him some time to get them off the property. I gave him a couple weeks to get them off the property and stop doing what he's doing, because I told him it's making people kind of angry what he's doing there, because it does look like a little used car lot he's got going on at the end of the road there, and nobody's appreciating it in the town. All right, the other things, okay, notices to Pettifer Road residents, with the overgrowth going into the sections where the culverts, no, the ditches have to get mowed out. There was about 14 on the list, I believe it's 14. I found out all the owners' names, where they live and that kind of thing. And notices are ready to send out. I just want a thumbs up on that because it's gonna be a little bit of cost to the town.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you guys decide that for me. Yeah, good to go, good to go, good to go. Okay, because I've got them all ready to go. My envelopes are already addressed.
Send them out.
Okay. I've tried to make personal contact with the ones I could, and I have, and the ones I could not need the notices, obviously. But if I'm gonna mail one-to-one, I should hit them all, just to make it nice. Okay. All right, we're all in agreement on that. Let's see, 103, Deaton is still a problem that's yet to be dealt with. I'll touch on that in a minute. 104 Lee Court, which is a property that was owned by the family member of somebody that ran for mayor in the last election. That person has since sold to the person that lives next door to them on Lee Court. I think it's 103 are the new owners, but they don't live in that property full time. They live off Broad Creek Loop Road. So I went to talk to them. I tracked them down. Went to talk to them personally about. Starting with, holy crap! You know you have to do some stuff in there. It's disgusting. You got to, and they're under the impression they can get that house back in order. I said, I'll give you a little bit of time, but I don't think so. And I'm not going 3 years this time. We're talking 3 months. So she's gonna see if she can get it back in order. But I said, first things first, we're on this little push to get the ditches cleared out. And she wanted to complain or tell me that none of that was her problem, but we had a great talk and she's gonna clear out her portion of that ditch line so mowers can get through. Fantastic. Okay, let's see, 119 Pettifer Road. This is the 2-story structure. I've communicated with this fellow on the phone now several times because he called up here, heated a couple times, and I had to unheat him. And he was upset that he was about to be getting fined for his property being out of order. And he couldn't understand why. So we took a tour of his property and now he understands. He's tried to clean it up and he's cleaned up a few pieces at his leisure, but not quick enough to what I told him I wanted. So he's still on my naughty list there. Okay, then 309 White House Forks Road, same problem, nothing's changed here. Still overgrown mess right there on White House Forks Road. Everybody knows that property. We have not gotten a call back from Mr. Nicky. He's not engaged me and let's do business with this.
I've heard from him.
Okay, good.
But
Is he?
Yeah, he said with all the negative stuff that was going on, he's gonna decline bidding on it. So,
Okay.
So anyhow, we'll leave it up to the board here
So we've got
to
one.
move forward with who we got.
Right, we've got the one fellow there from Ohio. Nice fellow. All right, so that's what we got there. So in order to move forward on these addresses that have now been on the block now they've been past their prime for a few months at this point. Okay. The ones that I said in the last meeting that were about to be penalty are now in penalty. So there is that. And now 4 properties that I had on my list were about to be in notice are now on notice, which means they're gonna be getting their nasty gram letters. Those are the 4 aforementioned. If you notice, number 4 is 1105, 1106, whatever it is, Highway 58. This guy is the one that is the owner of the business, the old bar and grill up there that does the lawnmower parts. I keep pushing, he keeps pushing back, and now he's got 2 35-foot boats in the backyard, and the crap keeps moving in, and the crap keeps moving out. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it, so he's gonna get hit with penalties. I'm tired of him. All right, moving on. All right, we're going to the sheriff's call volume for the month of October volunteer was very, very low. In the town proper itself, 32 calls for service. 28 calls for service, and the ETJ totaling 60 calls for service.
That's law enforcement.
That's the law enforcement for the month of October. October 1 to 31. That's including Halloween. That's why I was surprised at the low number, because usually there's TPing events and stuff that we come to, but nothing of that nature happened. We had domestics, we had stuff like that, but nothing crazy. And of course, I included the CAD entry lists that come up on my computer as we get them. And that's about that for my little report this month. Are there any questions of the board?
You had a total on those, you remember what it was, them 4 properties to clean up, 4,000 something?
Yes, I'd have to look at my records, but it was in that general vicinity. It was in the $4,000 range. It's like $4,200 some dollars.
Okay.
I think that was 2 months ago, probably August report. And if you need that number, Mayor, I can get that to you.
No, I think everybody remembers that one. So since we hadn't been able to get another bid, does the board want to move forward and letting Chris get this guy to clean up those properties?
I think we long enough, I think we just cleaned up.
One thing we need to make sure is he's got insurance, workman's comp, general liability.
He has all that. I mean, I asked those questions when I interviewed him for the first go around. He's primo. He's got everything together. And I also let him know that if he needed, I would provide a measure of security for him when he's on the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, we just need to make sure that he sends the certificates of insurance to B before he can get paid.
Right there.
And you say, what about liability? Is he bonded and does he have liability too?
Workman's comp, general
Yeah, that's
liability.
what, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, do I hear a motion to give Chris the okay to hire this guy to clean up them 4 properties for some $4,200, something around there? Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's all yours, sir.
Okay, I got it. I'll get him to work.
Okay.
All right, John. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, next is West Carter Fire and EMS report. Chief Kevin Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, board members and citizens, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I want to thank Ms. Sue Verdon for her comments in her meeting with the planning board. Whenever our department is praised or people have great things to say about our department, I wish that all of my people could be here instead of me and that I could just kind of step out the door, out of the way, because they are indeed the ones who make our department what it is. They're the ones who are on the street. They're the ones who are on the fire trucks and the ambulances. They're the ones who are coming in your front door. I'm very small issue to it. I'm in my office most of the time doing the administrative things, but they're the ones that are doing the job. And I thank you, Ms. Burton, because they do deserve it, and they are great people and great personnel. I also wanted to just make a quick comment. Not as, I didn't speak during any of the public comment because I'm one of your department officers, but as you, as a board and as a planning board, begin to look at some of these things like changing the zoning in certain areas of the town, and I think it's been spoken about before, to keep in mind the traffic. Highway 58 is horrible, especially, I know mornings are bad, but evenings seem to be far worse than the mornings. And I'm afraid that at some point in time, if you, as more and more businesses and commercial come into, especially that midsection Pelletier, at the very minimum, you're gonna have to do like Cedar Point did. You're gonna have to drop your speed limit to 35. We already know that on Highway 58, The North Carolina Department of Transportation does not like the idea of putting stoplights in. In fact, they will fight it tooth and nail. So I just want the board and the planning board to keep that in mind moving forward. But I'm not for or against one way or the other commercial growth, and I think commercial growth is needed in Pelletier. And I think we should desire some commercial growth in Pelletier. But it is going to bring some challenges, and traffic is going to be the #1 challenge. So with that, I'll move on to my report. The month of October was a little bit slow for us as well, not just on the law enforcement side, but on the fire and EMS side. 155 calls, which for 1 month sounds like a lot, but that's a little bit low for the month of October. October generally runs 160 to 170 calls, so that's about 5 to 15 calls below normal. However, Pelletier was the second busiest in the district during the month of October, with 28 total calls, 21 of which were EMS and 1 motor vehicle crash, and then 6 calls that were in the other category. The comparison chart that I put in the report. So we're running at 1,615 calls at the end of October. It's gonna put us at the end of the year a little bit less than yet last year and the year before. But as I've said many meetings before, reminded everyone that the letter that I sent to Onslow County regarding the calls that we were going there, that's going to delete about 150 calls from our call volume as we look at it. And this month is a perfect example. We had 1 EMS call to Onslow County, and I don't think we had any standby calls. Now, a year ago and 2 years ago, for 1 month in the month of October, that would have probably been 20 calls or so, or 25 calls, and probably 10 or 15 standbys. So us telling them that we just could not do that and provide that for them has made a difference. In fact, the one downside, and we've talked about it amongst our officers, when I made that decision to send that letter, one of the things my officers said was, "Chief, how often does Onslow County reciprocate? In other words, if we call them for help, how often are they going to come to us?" Well, because the reason we were helping them was because they were short-staffed. So the answer to that was, in the years since I've been chief in 2011, we've only received mutual aid from Onslow County approximately 10 times since 2011. In fact, I've actually had to call Camp Lejeune Fire and Emergency Services to come in and provide us an ambulance for a few hours when we were in a really, really busy time in the summertime, when Emerald Isle had several near drownings and what have you, and people caught in the riptides. So it really did not hurt my feelings to have to tell Onslow County that, considering they're a much bigger and much wealthier county than we are. So that has made a big difference, and so that's the reason why our call volume is down that much. That's pretty much the generalities of our call volume. Does anybody, I'll do the fire marshal's report next. Does anybody have any questions about the call volume itself? All right.
I do have one question.
Where?
Right here.
Okay.
You got the new ambulance.
Yes, sir, I was going to bring that up. I've been telling everybody, meeting after meeting now for almost 2 years, we've been discussing the ambulance situation. We finally received the new ambulance that we ordered. We still have not received the crashed ambulance. However, it is in Garner, and they're just doing some final touch-up things that we had identified that needed to be taken care of. But it basically, we went up and did our inspection of it, and it is basically a brand new ambulance.
Well, yeah, it was almost,
it was a year old when it was in the motor vehicle crash.
Yeah.
So, but we're very happy with the work that they did in remounting that ambulance. So probably the end of this week, we will have that ambulance in the house as well, and we'll be back up to our normal number of ambulances, and we'll have ambulances that we don't have to put in the shop a lot. And so we're in much better shape now. We've been very blessed to be able to keep everything running, or get another ambulance from someone else when we've had to. Either Emerald Isle or Carteret County EMS have loaned us an ambulance from time to time if one had to go to the shop. But yes, that's coming in. Also, since you brought that up, I will also bring up the fact that we had our annual open house at the end of October, and we had 400 plus people. Last year we had over 300. This year we were over 400. And I'm proud to say that we've got many similar comments from the people who came to our open house as Ms. Verdon gave us tonight. Again, I'm proud of our people. They are who make the department. So now I'll go ahead and jump to the Fire Marshal's monthly report. I'm just going to hit some of the high points. The total for the year on inspections, Fire Marshal Penrod has got 354 inspections completed in October. He did 2 in the town of Pelletier, and the total number he had for the entire district in October was 32. He did 14 smoke detectors in the district during October, for a total of 38 during the year. Now when I say he did 14, that means that he actually went out and found we had people who had either stated they did not have smoke detectors, which sometimes you have that in your poor neighborhoods and what have you. They said they didn't have a smoke detector. We actually went out, or Mr. Penrod actually went out with one of the guys or 2 of the guys from the crew, and they would go out and they would actually install smoke detectors for these people. Plan reviews, he did 1 plan review in October. I'm surprised he got 1 done as busy as October was, because October is Fire Prevention Month. So he was quite busy, and I'll explain that here in just a minute when I get down to it. So total of 38 plan reviews for the year. Knox boxes, he did 23 Knox boxes during the month of October for 102 total for the year. Now our fire prevention numbers in attendance, pre-K through 12th grade was 175. Now usually our numbers for October are higher than that, but there was so much going on in October all around us that trying to schedule some of the programs we do, because remember, Emerald Isle Fire Department, they don't have their own school over there. So they also participate at the White Oak School as well as we do. So Emerald Isle had some time at White Oak School. We had some time at White Oak School. We got more in the month of November. Last week they had a program. Some of you may have seen it. It was at Lowe's Home Improvement. So for the month of October was 175 in the pre-K through 12. Now, here's the number, and I don't want y'all to look at me sideways and think I'm telling you a story. There's an explanation behind it. So number of adults reached during the month of October, 3,200. Number of children reached under the age of 17, 2,650. Now here's the explanation for that. Those signs that you've seen out on the highway, the state of North Carolina Office of State Fire Marshal allows you to take approximately one quarter of the number of estimated daily travelers through your district, and take one quarter of those travelers and count them towards people that you reached with fire prevention, simply because you put a sign out. Now, we are questioned a lot of times when people come to the station and we do a presentation, or we go to the schools. They ask us, hey, did you put those signs out? Yeah, my kids were telling me about that, and so forth. So they do reach people. Whether or not they actually reach the numbers they allow us to count, I couldn't tell you, but that's the reason that number is what it is. Complaints and concerns, he handled 2 during the month of October, 20 total. Fire protection systems checkouts, he handled 4 in the month of October for 19 total for the year. His training hours for October were 33, 222 for the year. And then his fire code ordinances and research, 11 hours for a total of 186 for the year. So he stays very busy. I will also let you know that a lot of times if we get a call for a reported illegal burn, or someone calls and says, there's smoke in the area, we'd like you guys to check it out, and someone thinks that someone is burning trash or burning other things that they're not supposed to be burning, like old construction materials and what have you, he goes out and basically does enforcement on that. Now, he will call the sheriff's department from time to time to back him up on that, because we have some people in the community who like to push back and they want to be able to burn whatever they want to burn. But he handles those for us. Just as a reminder, burning in general is not illegal. When you have construction or when you have land clearing operations and things like that, burning is allowed in the state of North Carolina. Now, those individuals still have to get fire permits, but they get their permits, and the Forest Service may give certain ones particular instructions, but that is considered natural material, and then it's allowed to be burned during certain hours and what have you. And generally speaking, that does not cause a problem and is not a major health concern, although some people consider it a health concern, and then they get upset with us, and we may check out a burn, and then we have to come back and say to them, well, this burn is totally legal, they're allowed to do this, and they still get upset with us, but that's just the way it is. Any other questions or any questions for me at this time? Yes,
No,
Doc.
just to say that y'all do a fine job.
Thank you, ma'am.
I love the EMS. They've been to my house more than once.
I appreciate it. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, next is the financial report. Y'all take a look. Not much has changed. We had, of course, until the first of the year, we don't get a lot of money in, so we spend money now, and then eventually we'll get it all back. So, does anybody have any questions on it? All right, we'll go to the planning report.
Planning board adopted the ordinances and passed them on to you,
Okay, thank you, Mel.
and the maps.
And the maps. Okay. All right, commissioners report. Commissioner Quinn.
I just want to say congratulations to all the winners of the election. And I want to say also, perseverance there, Chris. We finally got it done, didn't we? Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Commissioner Bray.
Nothing at this time aside from, thank the citizens for, another big turnout at the polls. It's always good to see, every year more and more voters step up to the plate and do their civic duty.
Okay. Commissioner Mason.
David said exactly what I was going to say. I appreciate everybody coming out and the support that the town of Pelletier had for this election. Thank you all.
Okay. Mr. Taylor.
I appreciate the turnout and the vote. It came out real well.
Mr. Benson.
Reiterate what they've already said. I think it was close to a record.
It was.
It was.
It was.
Or I think it wasn't a record, it was close to it. The number of voters, and I appreciate every one of them that I got. I appreciate the ones that didn't vote for me, because you did come out and express your opinion. That's what it's all about. But I'm like Boss Hogg, I want all the votes. But I sure appreciate what I got. I appreciate the people that voted for us. And we got a good slate of officers in here now, and commissioners. And look forward to working with you for the next 2 years. I do. I've got other ones for 4 years. So.
Okay. Also would like to thank the voters for coming out, because there was 251 voters, and that was a record for Pelletier, so that was real good. Of course, Chris mentioned the drainage at Pettiford's Road. We also have talked to the county's also looking at Starchy's Cove about their drainage issue. We got one more thing. We got, I guess there's a lock that's bad to our storage room back here that needs to be repaired for the fire marshal. So, but anyhow, other than that, I do appreciate everybody's support. So we'll move on now.
I forgot one thing, can I go back one thing? I forgot to say something. Whenever, Chris, when you're talking about, when doing the gentleman came up looking about the drainage in Pettiford, whenever they're doing that, I'm kind of getting, like Bill said, we need to do something about seeing the water going into Pettiford Creek. And I know that's what they want to do. They want to get rid of the water off of the land. But we need to look at some way to mitigate that, to slow it down, at least to keep some all this movement. I don't know what to do, what it is, but we need to take that into consideration, I think, when we're talking about drainage.
Well, if I may, it's not my area of expertise, but Mr. Foxworth seemed very confident in the fact that he could get the engineer to draw up a plan that would suit the needs of the community, and I was happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And basically, I just reported it back to Mayor Sauer was there, what I learned, and let him follow up and take the ball.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on to new business, which is now, we're going to discuss the public hearings that we had earlier. The first one is the rezone of the 1.008 acres at 1277 Highway 58 and 102 Pettiford's Road. Is there any discussions?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. I'm not opposed to being, to rezoning it. However, I would like for us to consider putting some type of special use thing in there where, I don't know what we need to do, Carlton, but if there was some way we can make sure that it's delineated somehow to say that an entrance can't come off into Pettiford Road, because that's a residential road, to keep that traffic on 58. I don't know exactly if we can do that or whatever, but if we don't do that now, it's gonna be the same thing that happened when Emerald Isle did the LIW thing up here. They were able to go in and do exactly what they wanted because there was nothing already laid down when it was rezoned. That's my concern.
Well, I know the entrance of that property always did come onto Pettiford's Road. But I think it's the type of business, whatever type of business, if they would have that much traffic. If they do, I would say they would, if we can hold them to repave that part of the road, if they're gonna be using it like that. I don't know if there's anything that we can do there. Because it'd be hard for us. I would think it'd be hard for them to get access to Highway 58 as a business.
Is Pettiford Road private or is it a state maintained?
It's a town road.
It's a town road? Yeah, the DOT may not want them connecting directly to 58.
So they're letting Mr. McLean connect directly to it.
I mean, I just.
He already had the
respect
entrance there. His interest was already established there years ago. That was the main entrance to the 27 acres that he had there.
I'm just saying what my discussion was.
Yeah, yeah. Because it could be a concern, down the line. Now, if the rezone goes forward, and as it is right now, if someone buys it as a business, then can we put that stipulation on them?
Stipulation to
That they pave that section to bring it up to date?
I don't think that would be required, especially if it was just a regular, permitted by right use. So, I mean, I'm really not sure. I understand what you're saying, and I understand your concerns, but I don't know if our ordinances cover that right now.
Wouldn't that have to be on the site plan, whoever buys it, if it's commercial property? Wouldn't that have to be on the site plan before they're issued any kind of permitting? Of the entrance, of where it comes in at?
Yeah, I mean, before they construct, they will need to, they would need to show that.
Before they get any permit at all, it's got to go through planning, and they would have to submit a site plan with their entrance entering 58.
Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Wait.
How is that any, no, okay. No.
So,
You would have to get approval.
This is a board discussion. So anyhow, like I say, if the rezone goes through, then if a business does buy it, when they come back before us, then we can discuss the entrance of that road is what I was getting at.
I mean, we could ask them to have the entrance on 58, but if the ordinance does not give the town does not enable the town to dictate where which road they use as an entrance, then there's not much we can do right now.
But couldn't we do that now instead of waiting until then? In other words, could it be like a special use permit?
Well, generally, special use permits are.
It's limited to when you're using a property.
Specifically for use.
By the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, so.
So in other words, instead of saying that where the driveway is, you're just saying, well, you can only put a Dollar General there.
Exactly. You're saying what the use can be. You're not necessarily defining the specific, entrances, exits, things like that. I think your best bet on that is probably going to be that they're going to have to go through a whole process with DOT. They're going to have to go through, as pointed out, providing a site plan and things like that that are going to be reviewed and approved before the use is approved. But typically, you're focused on what the type of use is, not necessarily the specific, planning part.
Is there any argument for the weight on the road versus, like, the argument is 5 Aprils is now used residential, but 5 Aprils, the road was constructed decades after the other one. Would there be anything to, like Mayor Sauer said, to have them reconstruct the entrance there?
Ultimately, again, what the consideration is limited to is what is the type of use and does it comply with the zoning? If you're talking about, so the special use permit that you're talking about, when you're using a property for a different use than what it's supposed to be used for a limited use, which is, you can do that if you want to, but that's a different thing than what we're trying to do here. This is a general rezoning. If you're using a special use permit, then yes, you can consider things like that. You consider the impact on the road, you can consider the impact on the surrounding properties, things like that. But ultimately, in this case, what you're considering is, again, a complete rezoning over to this general business district, B1. And in that case, if they fit the requirements of the B1 general zoning or general business district, then they can put it there.
Carlton, could you possibly read what the B1's allowed?
The B1 district,
Slow down, sir. We got speed limits in.
Absolutely. Slow and slowest.
B1 district is intended for the use of general businesses and other related uses. So these are uses permitted by right, meaning that they show that they've met all the requirements on, they show they've met all the requirements, they're clearly listed in the ordinance, then they're entitled to the permit. So offices, clinic, include general business, banking, financial, health clinics, medical, professional. Then you have general businesses, retail uses. Again, these are also permitted by right, like ABC store, antiques, appliance gift stores, automobile foot sales, and also service, flowers, greenhouses, plant nurseries, food stores, gas stations, general retail merchandise stores, which I guess Dollar Tree probably fall under that, right? But then you have service establishments. Again, this is permitted by right. These classes, dance school, karate school, auction house, barber and beauty shops, dry cleaning, laundry pickup stations, indoor recreational activities, outdoor recreational activities, including, well, I don't think golf driving range is put there, outdoor batting, baseball batting cages, radio and television studios, restaurants, shoe repair, storage facilities, theaters, and, let's see. And then now we're in the special uses, which are the uses that require an evidentiary hearing. A business residence, so basically, I think this is like basically a home, not really a home office, but a business that is someone who's conducting business out of their residence, where there's very small amount of business traffic. And then you have bed and breakfast. That's there's a few requirements that need to be met for that. Cabinet and woodworking facilities, cellular towers, child daycare centers, let's see, family daycare centers, funeral home, golf course, and group care facility, hotel or motel, kennels, local municipal offices and facilities. Let's see, public utility facilities, private parks and playgrounds, public and private schools, religious complexes, adult businesses.
That's good, Carl.
Okay.
Thank you.
A lot of those that you mentioned, the property isn't big enough for.
Yeah, and we have to, right at this stage, we can't really speculate on what's gonna be built there. Because the applicant's not required to commit to a specific use for a rezoning.
Right.
It can be anything that's permitted under the ordinance.
Yeah, and then the person who might buy it might even want to rezone to a different business, zoning, like a B2 or B3. So,
All
So,
we're
but-
talking about tonight is.
Just the reason,
Just the rezoning from residential to business.
yes.
And that residential to business, and we're, I think our goal, or what we're working towards is having Highway 58 as a business corridor and get the residential off of Highway 58, which is possible. And this certainly would be in keeping with the business corridor. And all this that we're talking about tonight, I know what Mr. Quinn's talking about, and I can empathize with him, but that's not in the scope of what we're talking about here tonight. Tonight, we're just, all we're doing is talking about rezoning from residential to business. And then whenever the property owner sells it or somebody buys it, then these other things would be addressed. Is that right?
That's right. So does anybody like to make a motion?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Before that, we can't forget the planning board statement. Can I go through that really quickly?
Yes.
The public notice requirements have been met. The planning board reviewed and commented on this item at September 18th, 2023 meeting. This is the written comment I'll provide to you. This board called for a public hearing in its October 2nd meeting. Staff recommended approval. Staff recommends approval of the consistency statement and statement of reasonableness that reflects the planning board's written recommendation, which is right here. I will read this out too. Town Mtg, North Carolina Planning Board recommendation consistency statement of reasonableness for rezoning of 1277 Highway 58 and 102 Pettiford Road from R15M to B1. The proposed amendment is consistent with the Carteret County Campbell Land Use Plan adopted December 20th, 2021. It is consistent with policy 2.5 Part 1. Major development of an urban nature should be concentrated in the developed and limited transition areas. Major development is considered to be development that utilizes urban services, particularly water and sewer. All these parcels are adjacent to and in close proximity to NC Highway 58. Potential land uses may be considered consistent with policy 3.13. Carteret County supports new development along US 70, NC 24, NC 101, and NC 58, providing safe access to these corridors while minimizing the need for additional stoplights. This is the recommended reasonableness statement. Now, the proposed map amendment is reasonable and in the public interest because it is consistent with the Carteret County Campbell Land Use Plan, and the area under consideration is adjacent to and in close proximity to NC Highway 58, the community's primary road, which makes it suitable for commercial uses. The area under consideration is adjacent to a parcel zone B3 and an existing commercial use. The area under consideration is also adjacent to a parcel zone B1 and an existing commercial use. Permitted uses in the B1 district are generally compatible with nearby residential uses. So the planning board recommends approval of this amendment. So that is the planning board's written statement that is required by statute. I suggest you can do it together or separately, but when you make the vote to approve, include that or reference that statement. Ideally, you would read it down again, but since I just read it out, I think that can suffice. That's why I read it out. So you know what I have.
I appreciate that.
Well, I'll make that motion and include that statement.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second.
That's sufficient.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? David? All right, so the motion passed, the rezone passed, so. Sorry it took so long.
The speed of government. That's the speed of government.
Yeah.
That's faster, brother.
All right, the second was the zoning ordinance is next on the list. Do we have to go through all that again?
No, we don't. And again, I apologize for, I think the agenda, on the agenda here, it's approved as one item.
Oh, yes.
I actually have two separate amendment ordinances, so if possible, if you could vote on those separately.
Yes.
But basically, I have the planning board's written statement here, which I will, I'll read this really quickly. Town Mtg, North Carolina Planning Board recommendation for readoption of the town zoning ordinance and the official zoning map. So this would cover both items.
Yes.
The planning board recommends approval of the readoption of the town's existing zoning ordinance, including all previous amendments. The town's existing official zoning map, including all previous amendments, a copy of which is attached here too. So, yeah, basically it has the zoning map and, full text of the ordinance. If I can, I'll just hand that.
We won't.
Okay,
do that.
I'll just consider this received by the
board.
by the governing board.
Okay.
Okay. But yes, also I wanted to note that for the zoning map readoption, consistency statement is not required because it's adopting or readopting an ordinance. Consistency statements are only required for zoning ordinances when it's being amended. So there's no need for the consistency statement. For the zoning map readoption, there's no need for a statement of reasonableness because again, it's not an amendment, it's just a readoption or adoption. So
Okay.
that's my information.
All right, so we're going to have two motions for that. Okay, and in accepting the planning board's consistency statement, do I hear a motion to adopt the zoning ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and you don't need it for the map, right?
I do need it for, no, I don't need any consistency statements.
All right.
For these two, so, and I don't need a statement of reasonableness. The only thing we did need was, for the planning board to make the recommendation and for the board to consider the planning board's recommendation.
Okay, we did that. So, we did that for that. So, in considering the planning board's recommendation, blah, blah, blah. Do I hear a motion to adopt the zoning map?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Subdivision regulations.
Again, with the subdivision regulations, there were no changes. And again, this is a readoption or an adoption. There is no requirement for the planning board to provide a statement for subdivision regulations. So for the adoption of subdivision regulations, so the board's not providing that. The planning board's not providing that. But yeah, that's all I have for that.
Okay, so, with this one, before we make a motion, I do want this town to really consider looking into the subdivision ordinance soon. We're gonna pass, again, hopefully y'all pass it tonight for a short term, but it definitely needs some addressing.
I agree.
Okay. All right, so do I hear a motion to readopt the subdivision regulation?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, public comment. This says you have to give you 3 minutes, but you're probably gonna get less. It's getting late.
Anyway, so I just want to thank the Western Carteret Fire and EMS team for their invaluable partnership with our multiple life safety events, and especially you, Chief Hunter, and Fire Marshal Bob Penrod. He's amazing. His team is fantastic. They're caring, they're supportive. Oh my gosh, I've never seen such a great group of individuals. So thank you. And although we distributed about 100 helmets, my goal was persuading parents and convincing kids to wear helmets. And the support and gratitude from the community was tremendous and humbling. And Ronald, I want to thank you for your consistent support. And to the town of Pelletier, thank you all. And Mayor Sowers for your support and encouragement through all of this. So thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? All right, no old business, no other business. Commissioner's comment, Mr. Quinn? Yeah. Mr. Bragg, Mr. Mason?
I want to address Mr. Billy. I think you said a lot tonight about the creeks, the rivers, all that, and we got to stay on this. And I agree with you 100%. And the way the rivers flow and also the subdivision stuff. I'm glad you brought that up. So we will stay on it. Or I will, at least.
Good. All right.
I'm gonna let it go.
All right, Walter?
I agree with Bill. You may be calling you for some extra advice, and I think that we're on the same page about what's going on there. And also, one of my goals, one of my things I really want to see done is for us to adopt our own comprehensive use plan.
Yes.
For Pelletier.
Yes.
And what is going on with that? Right?
Well, in the planning board, working on getting people together for a workshop?
Yes, we're starting to work for a land use plan. And I have asked Mr. Mason Ronald to get Bogues. Cesar is going to get Cedar Points. I'll ask somebody else to get Cape Carteret. We'll sit down with the three of them in a workshop and try to draw from any of these, because they have different problems than we have. They have more water problems than we have. We do have the creeks and that's the point. But my question is, when we adopt, or when we put this land use plan together, will the subdivision restrictions fit into there, or do we need to do a separate update to the subdivisions?
A good comprehensive land use plan pretty much address all of the issues that have been mentioned here tonight. And it is, I know that you're used to doing consistency statements with the zoning ordinance, but you can't have consistency statements for changes to the subdivision regulations. The point of a comprehensive land use plan, one of the many reasons for it, it's a living document, and it's meant to guide future updates to the town's ordinances.
And protect what we have here as well as the future.
Right. So, like, for instance, one of the goals within, or one of the stated policy goals within our comp plan could be, hey, we want new neighborhoods to have sidewalks built in. And we want to encourage the
public use plan. I saw sections that are into public use.
Yes, and so that'll be that can be referenced or cited when we do go and amend the the subdivision regulations
Okay.
to say we need, adequate public
Well,
infrastructure.
it's, to commissioners and to my own board and the citizens, it's not going to be done tomorrow. It's going to take some time and a lot of discussion and a lot of research, I guess.
All right, Bill, just make it quick, please.
Yeah, one of the things we need to look at, why our waters here are so imperative, because they're primary nursery areas. So that has to be in consideration when we look at developing these plans.
And that's something that ideally would be addressed in the plan. And these comp plans, they need to have they require public input. Statute requires public input. So, I mean, it would be very helpful.
I would be perfectly willing, if anybody in here has any information or anything they want, give it to me. And when we get together as a full planning board, we will try to incorporate it, because we've got, we can't do it all ourselves. We have to have help from the public. I mean, they deal with parts of the town that I don't know anything about, or I don't deal with, or things like that. But we have got to have public input. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it.
Any assistance that my little pea brain, my little small mind can help do on this thing, I have a lot of time on my hands.
I know where you are, Walter.
I'm more than willing to work with you.
Thank you, dear.
I'm sure that we get Bill to help us on this, and we get plenty of help.
We can
But
get some
I do
help.
really want to see us expedite this thing.
But the thing of it is that it's not gonna happen tomorrow. It's gonna take, as we said,
Happen
government moves
next
a
week.
snail, but I don't want this.
2 weeks.
I don't want this snail to move too slow.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This meeting's adjourned.